CompTIA A Certification Exam 220-1201 Practice Test. Question 1. Laptops are displayed in a public training room and must be harder to remove quickly. Which option should be implemented? Option A, Password Manager. Option B, Guest Network Isolation. Option C, Antivirus Software. Option D, Cable Lock. The correct answer is option D, Cable Lock. The scenario calls for a control that physically secures portable equipment to a fixed object. It deters opportunistic theft by attaching the device chassis to furniture or another anchor. The secured laptop cannot be carried away without defeating the lock or anchor. Question 2. Which result would verify that virtual switch is functioning as required? Option A. Each resulting guest can be started and modified without changing the source instance. Option B. Changes remain inside the isolated session and disappear when the environment is reset. Option C. The guests exchange traffic through their assigned virtual network even if no external cable is involved. Option D. A virtual machines start on the bare metal platform and access assigned resources normally. The correct answer is option C. The guests exchange traffic through their assigned virtual network even if no external cable is involved. The intended role of virtual switch is that it connects virtual network adapters to one another and to selected physical networks. It forwards frames among virtual interfaces and can bridge traffic to a physical adapter when configured. A storage snapshot preserves disk state and does not provide network connectivity. Question 3. A technician needs to identify the process identifier of an application from the terminal. Which command is the best fit? Option A, PS. Option B, update. Option C, robocopy. Option D, hostname. The correct answer is option A, PS. The problem is addressed by a command that displays information about running processes on Linux and Unix-like systems. It provides process listings that can be filtered or expanded with options. The output shows the target process and its identifier. Stressed about your CompTIA exam? We can take CompTIA exam for you remotely and undetected. We always guarantee a pass and payments only after results. To send us an email, scan the code or tap the link in the description and let's get it done. Question 4. A desktop powers off under graphics load after a high-consumption video card was installed. Which component is the best fit? Option A, power supply unit. Option B, the network interface card. Option C, heat sink. Option D, laser printer fuser. The correct answer is option A, power supply unit. The problem is addressed by a component that converts utility power into regulated low-voltage outputs used by internal computer hardware. Its wattage, connectors, and output capacity must support the combined system demand. The system remains stable under full load after a correctly sized compatible replacement is installed. Question 5. A system fails to boot after unsupported memory timing values were saved in firmware. Which procedure is the best fit? Option A, substitute a known -good Ethernet cable. Option B, inspect network link indicators. Option C, clear CMOS settings. Option D, ping the loopback address. The correct answer is option C, clear CMOS settings. The problem is addressed by a procedure that returns firmware configuration to defaults when an invalid setting prevents normal startup. It removes problematic custom configuration while preserving the hardware for retesting. The firmware loads default values and the computer completes startup. Question 6. Which option identifies the procedure that recovers files or system data from a known -good protected copy? Option A, repair the application installation. Option B, remage the system. Option C, rebuild the search index. Option D, restore from a verified backup. The correct answer is option D, restore from a verified backup. The defining function is that the procedure recovers files or system data from a known -good protected copy. A validated backup provides an authorized source that predates the loss. Downloading similarly named files from an unknown website would not provide trustworthy recovery. Question 7. A support task calls for a platform that centrally enforces configuration, security, application, and compliance policies on enrolled devices. Which choice fits? Option A, airplane mode. Option B, docking station. Option C, mobile device management. Option D, location services. The correct answer is option C, mobile device management. The required platform is one that centrally enforces configuration, security, application, and compliance policies on enrolled devices. It gives administrators consistent remote control over managed mobile endpoints. Manual configuration on each tablet would be slower and difficult to audit consistently. Question 8. An organization needs to identify unauthorized changes on workstations. Which control most directly meets the stated need? Option A, a configuration baseline. Option B, anti-static mat. Option C, asset tag. Option D, anti-static wrist strap. The correct answer is option A, configuration baseline. The stated requirement depends on a control that records an approved standard state for hardware, software, settings, and security. It provides a reference for compliance checks, troubleshooting, and rebuilding systems. A scan reports deviations from the approved configuration and the exceptions are reviewed. Are you looking for CompTIA A exam actual questions? Visit our website pokerexams.com to access CompTIA A exam study guide with actual questions and answers. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description to get CompTIA A exam answer key today. Question 9. Which outcome provides the clearest evidence that rebuild the search index is operating correctly? Option A. The default homepage and search provider return and the redirects stop. Option B. The previously omitted files appear after indexing completes. Option C. The service reaches the running state and the application reconnects. Option D. The applications function correctly under the newly created profile. The correct answer is option B. The previously omitted files appear after indexing completes. The selected procedure regenerates the operating -system database used for fast file and content searches. A fresh index corrects missing or corrupted metadata used by the search service. Defragmenting an SSD is not a reliable fix for a damaged search database. Question 10. A help desk analyst is evaluating the reason for a recommended choice. Which statement most accurately describes the advantage of flush the DNS resolver cache? Option A. It provides evidence about reallocated sectors, error counts, and other device health conditions. Option B. Reducing the system to essential parts helps identify which added device or connection causes the failure. Option C. It replaces stale lease information without requiring permanent manual settings. Option D. It forces the client to obtain updated name information instead of reusing the cached entry. The correct answer is option D. It forces the client to obtain updated name information instead of reusing the cached entry. In this context, flush the DNS resolver cache removes stale locally stored hostname records. Renewing an IP lease does not necessarily remove an outdated local DNS record. A new lookup returns the current server address after the cache is cleared. Question 11. During a structured troubleshooting session, the technician compares the available choices. Why is test with a known -good power supply an appropriate selection? Option A. It provides evidence about reallocated sectors, error counts, and other device health conditions. Option B. Cycling the interface can reload its operational state and reinitialize network services. Option C. It confirms whether regulated power delivery is responsible for the symptom without replacing unrelated components. Option D. Checking a compatible known -good adapter isolates the external power source before opening the device. The correct answer is option C. It confirms whether regulated power delivery is responsible for the symptom without replacing unrelated components. The important capability of test with a known -good power supply is that it isolates an unstable or failed desktop power source. Reinstalling the operating system cannot correct inadequate electrical output. The system remains stable during the same workload when the verified compatible supply is connected. Question 12. A technician has configured CMOD. Which outcome demonstrates success? Option A. The computer starts normally with the earlier system configuration after restoration. Option B. The configured policy applies after refresh or sign -in and the restricted behavior changes. Option C. The permission listing shows the intended mode and the authorized user can run the script. Option D. The image health check completes successfully and a subsequent integrity scan can repair the remaining files. The correct answer is option C. The permission listing shows the intended mode and the authorized user can run the script. Using CMOD is appropriate because it changes file and directory permission bits on Linux and Unix-like systems. It adjusts read, write, and execute access for owner, group, and others. Chown changes ownership and is not always required when only permission bits are wrong. Question 13. Which observation validates the successful use of obtain remote -support consent? Option A. The request is declined or escalated according to policy while approved alternatives are explained. Option B. The session begins only after the user approves the connection through the authorized tool. Option C. Only the application and data required for the support task are visible in the session. Option D. Another technician can understand the fix and reproduce the approved solution from the ticket. The correct answer is option B. The session begins only after the user approves the connection through the authorized tool. The intended role of obtain remote support consent is that it gets user approval before viewing or controlling an endpoint session. Consent respects privacy and ensures the user understands the remote interaction. Connecting secretly may violate policy and expose information unrelated to the support request. Question 14. The proposed solution is being reviewed before implementation. Which property makes configuration baseline suitable for the requirement? Option A. It provides a reference for compliance checks, troubleshooting, and rebuilding systems. Option B. It ensures the impact is reviewed and the work is authorized before broad implementation. Option C. It prevents ordinary recovery and follows policy for reuse, recycling, or destruction. Option D. It provides a self-contained backup set that does not depend on earlier incremental jobs. The correct answer is option A. It provides a reference for compliance checks, troubleshooting, and rebuilding systems. The important capability of configuration baseline is that it records an approved standard state for hardware, software, settings, and security. A purchase receipt does not describe the current operating configuration. A scan reports deviations from the approved configuration and the exceptions are reviewed. Question 15. A configuration was changed incorrectly and the affected employee is already embarrassed. Which practice best addresses this requirement? Option A. Avoid assigning blame. Option B. Open-ended question. Option C. Provide a follow-up update. Option D. Document the resolution. The correct answer is option A. Avoid assigning blame. The scenario calls for a practice that focuses on facts and corrective action rather than accusing users or colleagues. A neutral approach encourages honest information and faster recovery. The user provides the missing details and the team corrects the issue without escalating conflict. Question 16. How should the technician verify that a PIPA is producing the required result? Option A. A connected hosts exchange local traffic and the forwarding table learns their addresses. Option B. The browser establishes an encrypted connection and displays the expected certificate information. Option C. A newly connected client receives a valid lease that matches the local subnet. Option D. The address is replaced by a valid subnet lease after DHCP connectivity is restored. The correct answer is option D. The address is replaced by a valid subnet lease after DHCP connectivity is restored. Using a PIPA is appropriate because it assigns an IPv4 address in the 169.254.0.0/16 range when normal automatic configuration fails. It permits limited local -link communication while signaling that a DHCP lease was not obtained. A private address from 192.168.0.0/16 can be intentionally assigned and does not by itself indicate lease failure. Question 17. A technician needs to review whether built-in malware protection and the host firewall are active. Which choice is most appropriate for this situation? Option A. Disk utility. Option B. Windows security. Option C. System configuration. Option D. A control panel. The correct answer is option B. Windows security. The described need is met by a utility that provides status and controls for antivirus, firewall, account, device, and application protection. It consolidates major endpoint security health information in Windows. The dashboard reports the protection components as enabled in current. Question 18. An entry-level technician must select the option that best matches the stated requirement. Which characteristic best justifies selecting airplane mode? Option A. It reduces exposure by removing accessible organizational information from the missing endpoint. Option B. It lets multiple clients use one mobile device as an internet gateway. Option C. It provides a single control for suspending the device radios without shutting down the operating system. Option D. It gives administrators consistent remote control over managed mobile endpoints. The correct answer is option C. It provides a single control for suspending the device radios without shutting down the operating system. In this context, airplane mode disables wireless transmitters quickly while allowing the device to remain powered on. A screen lock protects access but leaves the radios operating. Cellular, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth indicators show disabled until individually re-enabled or the mode is turned off. Stressed about your CompTIA A exam? We can take CompTIA A exam for you remotely and undetected. We always guarantee a pass and payments only after results. To send us an email, scan the code or tap the link in the description and let's get it done. Question 19. A support technician is reviewing several possible solutions. Which consideration most strongly supports using virtualization guest? Option A. It allows workloads and data to use different environments according to policy, cost, and scale. Option B. It behaves like an independent computer while relying on resources assigned by the host. Option C. It clarifies that provider-managed infrastructure does not remove every customer security obligation. Option D. It gives users access to provider-managed software with minimal local administration. The correct answer is option B. It behaves like an independent computer while relying on resources assigned by the host. Virtualization guest runs as an isolated operating system instance using hardware presented by a hypervisor. The host controls the physical hardware and is not the isolated workload being tested. The installed operating system boots and detects virtual CPU, memory, storage, and network devices. Question 20. Which observation validates the successful use of user account control? Option A. Offline or specialized scanning reveals hidden components that ordinary tools did not report. Option B. The drive contents remain unreadable from another computer without the recovery material. Option C. The test file is quarantined and the protection engine reports current definitions. Option D. The protected change proceeds only after an authorized approval or credential is supplied. The correct answer is option D. The protected change proceeds only after an authorized approval or credential is supplied. The intended role of user account control is that it prompts for approval or elevated credentials when Windows actions require administrative privileges. It separates routine activity from elevated operations and makes privilege use visible. Disabling the screensaver would not control administrative elevation. Question 21. The proposed solution is being reviewed before implementation. Which property makes subnet mask suitable for the requirement? Option A. It lets a host decide whether to communicate directly or forward traffic to a router. Option B. It segments traffic logically without requiring a completely separate switch for every group. Option C. It supports multi-device access without requiring messages to be removed from the server. Option D. It can reduce congestion by using spectrum that older 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz devices cannot access. The correct answer is option A. It lets a host decide whether to communicate directly or forward traffic to a router. The important capability of subnet mask is that it defines which portion of an IPv4 address represents the network and which portion represents the host. A DNS server address provides name resolution and does not define local address boundaries. The calculated network identifiers correctly show whether the two addresses share a subnet. Question 22. A support task calls for a component that ejects microscopic droplets of liquid ink onto paper. Which choice fits? Option A. SATA SSD. Option B. A graphics processing unit. Option C. Inkjet print head. Option D. Liquid cooling system. The correct answer is option C. Inkjet print head. The required component is one that ejects microscopic droplets of liquid ink onto paper. Its nozzles control the location and amount of ink applied to the page. A laser-printer drum uses toner and is not part of the inkjet marking process. Question 23. After implementing motherboard, which observation most strongly confirms the intended operation? Option A. Processor temperatures remain within specification under load after correct installation. Option B. The system detects the installed processor, memory, drives, and expansion devices after assembly. Option C. Power measurements show efficiency consistent with the certified tier under supported loads. Option D. The operating system detects the adapter and a valid link appears when the cable is connected. The correct answer is option B. The system detects the installed processor, memory, drives, and expansion devices after assembly. Motherboard connects the processor, memory, storage, expansion cards, firmware, and external interfaces. It provides the electrical pathways and connectors that integrate the major computer subsystems. A power supply provides electricity but does not determine the platform socket and expansion layout. Question 24. An entry-level technician must select the option that best matches the stated requirement. Which characteristic best justifies selecting data loss prevention? Option A. It attempts to maintain privileged stealth and can undermine trust in the operating system. Option B. It applies content-aware policies to data in use, motion, or storage. Option C. It combines independent evidence such as knowledge, possession, or inherence. Option D. It reduces the opportunity for unauthorized software and malware execution. The correct answer is option B. It applies content-aware policies to data in use, motion, or storage. In this context, data loss prevention identifies and restricts unauthorized movement of sensitive information. Disk defragmentation changes file layout and does not enforce data-handling policy. A test message containing protected information is blocked or routed for review. Question 25. A technician must manage a Linux server across an untrusted network without sending credentials in clear text. Which protocol is the best fit? Option A, HTTPS. Option B, IMAP. Option C, TCP. Option D, SSH. The correct answer is option D, SSH. The problem is addressed by a protocol that provides encrypted command-line administration and secure remote sessions. It protects interactive commands and authentication while supporting secure administration. The remote shell opens after host verification and successful encrypted authentication.